Friends, do you know that 1,000 years ago, Vikings built thriving settlements on the icy shores of Greenland, then vanished, leaving behind only silent ruins and unanswered questions? What happened to these Norse pioneers? Why did they disappear, almost overnight, from a land they called home for centuries? Today, we're diving deep into one of history's coldest mysteries, the lost Vikings of Greenland. Let's set the scene. The year is 985 AD. Europe is in the grip of the Middle Ages. Far to the north, the legendary Viking explorer Erik the Red sails west from Iceland, searching for new lands after being exiled for murder. What he finds is a vast, icy island, Greenland. Despite its name, the land is harsh, with glaciers, rocky coasts, and only narrow strips of green along the fjords. But Erik is a master of persuasion. He calls it Greenland to attract settlers, promising fertile pastures and new beginnings. And it works. Over the next few years, hundreds of Norse men, women, and children brave the North Atlantic, bringing cattle, sheep, and dreams of a better life. By the early 1000s, two main settlements have formed, the Eastern Settlement and the Western Settlement. At their peak, these communities boast up to 5,000 people, dozens of farms, churches, and even a bishop's seat. For nearly 500 years, the Norse of Greenland survive on the edge of the known world, trading walrus ivory with Europe and living side by side with the native Inuit. But then, suddenly, they're gone. So, what went wrong? The warning signs were subtle at first. Winters grew longer and colder. The sea ice crept closer to the shore, making trade and travel dangerous. The Norse clung to their old ways, raising cattle, building stone churches, and waiting for ships from Norway that came less and less often. But the world was changing. The climate was shifting into what we now call the Little Ice Age. Crops failed. Livestock starved. The Inuit, skilled hunters of seal and whale, adapted and survived. But the Norse, proud and stubborn, refused to change. Tensions rose. Some say there were clashes with the Inuit. Others whisper of famine, disease, and desperate choices. The settlements, once full of life, began to empty. By the 1400s, the last Norse farm was abandoned. No one knows exactly why. Let's walk through the timeline. 985 AD, Erik the Red founds the Eastern Settlement. The first Norse families arrive, building turf houses and wooden churches. 1000 AD, Leif Erikson, Erik's son, sails even further west, reaching North America, centuries before Columbus. 1126 AD, the first bishop arrives in Greenland. The Norse build a grand cathedral at Gardar, showing their wealth and faith. 1200s, trade with Europe is strong. Walrus ivory, hides, and even polar bear pelts are shipped to Norway in exchange for iron, timber, and luxury goods. 1300s, the climate cools. Sea ice blocks the fjords. Ships from Europe become rare. The Norse struggle to survive. 1368 AD, the last recorded ship from Norway visits Greenland. After this, the settlements are cut off. 1408 AD, the last known event, a wedding at Volsey Church. After that, the written record goes silent. By 1500, the Norse are gone. Only ruins remain. Imagine the fear and confusion of those last families. Winters growing colder, food running out, and no help coming from across the sea. Parents watching their children grow thin. Elders remembering the days of plenty, now just stories told by the fire. There are tales of heroism, like the farmers who tried to adapt, hunting seals and fishing in the icy waters. There are stories of heartbreak, like the last wedding at Volsey, where the bride and groom must have wondered if they'd ever see another ship from home. And there are mysteries. Did some Norse join the Inuit, blending into a new culture? Did they try to sail back to Iceland, only to vanish at sea? Or did they simply fade away, one by one, until the last fire went out? For centuries, the world forgot about the Greenland Vikings. Their stone churches crumbled. Their farms were swallowed by grass and snow. It wasn't until the 1700s, when Danish missionaries arrived, that the ruins were rediscovered. Archaeologists have since uncovered thousands of artifacts, tools, bones, even letters scratched on walrus tusks. But the biggest question remains: why did they disappear? Some blame climate change. Others point to isolation, famine, or conflict with the Inuit. The truth is, it was probably a mix of all these things, a perfect storm that ended a civilization. Their disappearance changed how Europe saw the world. Greenland became a symbol of lost hope, a warning about the dangers of pride and the power of nature. So, what can we learn from the lost Vikings of Greenland? Their story is a reminder that even the strongest societies can fall if they refuse to adapt. It's a lesson about resilience, about the need to change when the world changes around us. And it's a mystery that still haunts us 1,000 years later. We're still searching for answers in the frozen ruins of Greenland. Friends, history is full of stories like this, of courage, tragedy, and the unknown. The lost Vikings of Greenland remind us that every civilization, no matter how mighty, is just one winter away from vanishing into legend.